Hi there, kindergarten. It's Miss Crisali here. I'm going to be reading our new listening and learning stories all about seasons and weather. We have talked about the four seasons: winter, spring, summer, and autumn, also known as fall. Can you tell your family member what season it is right now? That's right, it is spring. It starts to get a little bit warmer, the flowers start to bloom, and the sun shines more. Over the next couple of stories, we're going to learn more about the seasons in a year. We are first going to go over our vocabulary for this story. What's the weather like is the title of our story today. After this, you're going to be able to name the four seasons and be able to retell details from a story. Our first vocabulary word is characteristics. Characteristics are ways we can describe and group people or things. Two of Jess's characteristics are her bows in her hair and her kindness. That was an example of the word characteristics. Our next vocabulary word is the word cycle. A cycle is a series of events that occur again and again in the same order. For example, the cycle of the seasons happens every year and includes winter, spring, summer, and autumn. The third vocabulary word is the word seasons. Seasons are the different times of the year: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. The last vocabulary word is weather. Weather means the temperature and other outside conditions at a particular time and place. For example, tomorrow the weather will be cold and rainy. So anytime you hear the words characteristics, cycle, seasons, or weather, I want you to touch the top of your head so you can closely pay attention to these words. Over the next few stories, we will be hearing from a pretend pen pal named Annie. Annie lives in Washington, D.C., which is our country's capital and where the president of our country lives and works. Annie will be sending us letters about the weather and seasons where she lives. After we've read a story or two, you will write a letter about what the weather is like where you live. But before then, we're going to read our first story called What's the Weather Like? Let's begin. Dear kindergarteners, hello. My name is Annie, and I live in a big city called Washington, D.C. I'm in 5th grade, but I remember when I was in kindergarten, just like you. Right now in school, my class is learning about seasons and weather. Seasons are different times of the year, and weather is what it is like outside. For my school project, I'm going to be your weather pen pal. And that means I will write letters to you to tell you all about the weather. I'm going to teach you what the weather is like where I live. I will also tell you about the weather in different areas or places on Earth. You can help me with my project by answering all my questions so I can learn about what the seasons and weather are like where you live. There are many different kinds of weather. There is sunny weather, cloudy weather, windy weather, rainy weather, and stormy weather. What is the weather like outside today where you live? My teacher says that no matter where you live on Earth, the weather is always changing hour by hour and day by day. That means the weather is never the same. But even though the weather changes, there are still weather patterns during certain times of the year. For example, the weather pattern in the summer is mostly sunny and warm. Weather patterns may change a lot in some places and very little in other places. It all depends on where you live on Earth. This is a map of the Earth. I've colored two areas on the map blue. The color blue is often used to stand for things that are cold. One is at the North Pole and one is at the South Pole. Even though the North and South Poles are opposite ends of the Earth from each other, they share the same weather patterns. The weather pattern at the North and South Poles is always cold, and the land is usually covered by ice. This is in the South Pole. which is located on the continent of Antarctica. It is one of the coldest places on Earth. The ground is covered by ice all year long, though it almost never rains or snows here. The wind can be strong and the temperature can be freezing cold. I've colored the middle area of this map red. The color red is often used to stand for things that are hot. The weather pattern in this area is usually very warm all year long. The biggest change in the weather during different times of the year is the amount of rain. During certain months in the rainforest, the day may start off warm and sunny, but by afternoon it may rain very, very hard. This weather pattern may occur almost every day. This area gets lots of rain and sun almost year-round. The rain and sun keep the plants and trees green and healthy. Do you see the part of this map that is colored green? This is most of the United States, the country where we live. Most of the United States is on the continent of North America, although the state of Hawaii is made up of islands located in the Pacific Ocean. In most of the United States, it's not always cold, like at the North and South Poles, and it's not always hot, like at the middle section of the Earth. The weather in most of the United States changes with every season, so we get cold weather, hot weather, and everything in between. There are 4 seasons in a year: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. Each season has different weather, so the weather in the United States changes depending on where you live and which season it is. Plants, trees, grass, and flowers change in different seasons. You will also see different kinds of animals in different seasons. This image shows the season called winter. Winter is the coldest season. In some places, snow and ice cover the ground during wintertime. Other places that do not have snow and ice are still colder in winter than in other seasons. Some animals, like bears, sleep during the winter. Eventually, winter ends and spring begins. In spring, the summer shines. The sun shines a little longer and warmer each day, which melts the ice and snow. In spring, new leaves appear on the trees. New plants grow up from the warming earth, and flowers bloom again. Many baby animals are born during the spring, too. After spring comes summer. Summer is the hottest season of the year in the United States. Summer is the season in which all the plants are at their greenest, full of leaves, flowers, and fruit. Birds, bugs, and other animals are easiest to spot in the summer. Finally, after summer comes autumn. Autumn is also called fall. In most places in the United States, the leaves change colors and fall off certain types of trees in autumn. The air outside gets cooler and the sun shines a little less each day. Autumn is when farmers harvest their fruits and vegetables. Birds fly south and everyone gets ready for winter. Let's say the seasons together: winter, spring, summer, and autumn. Do you know what season it is right now where you live? How do you know? Each season has its own special characteristics. For example, a characteristic of summer is hot weather and a characteristic of winter is snow. The seasons are different depending on where you live. Not all places get snow in the winter, and not all places are steaming hot in the summer. But one thing is for sure, no matter where you live, the seasons always change in the same order year after year. When something happens over and over again in the same order, it's called a cycle. Every year, the cycle of the seasons begins in winter, followed by spring, summer, autumn, and back to winter. I'll be talking about my hometown, Washington, D.C., a lot in my letters, but the characteristics of the 4 seasons where you live might be a little different. It will be fun to see if your weather is different from mine. I'll say goodbye for now, but I will write you again soon. Until then, I hope you are enjoying beautiful weather where you live. Your friend, Annie. Now, friends, you're going to have a discussion with your family. I want you to look at this photo and see which area on the map is always cold and which area on the map is usually warm. Now I want you to have a few more discussions with your family about which season is the coldest, which season is the hottest. What are some characteristics of or ways to describe spring? Now, we want you to start a weather diary on writing paper. I want you to write about what the weather is like outside today. Is it sunny? Is it rainy? Is it snowy? Is it windy? Write about everything that you see, that you observed outside. After you have all these discussions and write in your weather diary, I want you to get outside for a walk if it is nice out.